sincere person at the top, at the Director of National Intelligence level, you must not assume that he has been given access to the unacknowledged special access projects. Why do I say that? As the person, the only person in the UFO world that can say he has done this, as I am the person who has briefed a sitting CIA director, a sitting head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, the head of intelligence for the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Tom Wilson, who's the meeting for which has been confirmed through the Dr. Davis leak that came out from the Edgar Mitchell archive. We have to understand that in each of those cases, those men were not allowed to be briefed on these unacknowledged special access projects, nor have most of the presidents, and nor have most of the senators. What does this mean? It means that whatever the Director of National Intelligence may have access to will have been pulled out of this black world and put on a platter and cherry picked, much like Dick Cheney and his minions cherry picked the intelligence that got us into the debacle known as the Iraq War. So, and by the way, Secretary of State and former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Colin Powell, his chief of staff admitted on camera that they were deceived with hoax and false information from the intelligence operation out of the West Wing run by Dick Cheney after 9/11 that got us into that disastrous war, and we're still in that debacle. So one of the things you have to understand is that someone like the Director of National Intelligence, those people come and go every few years. We cannot assume and should not assume that he has been read into or briefed into these unacknowledged special access projects where he would be able to discern what is true, what is false, what is fact, what is fiction. Now, that's even more true for the President of the United States, who has a lot of things on his plate, or a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee. So none of these people are specialists in this area. They're extremely vulnerable to the people who are the foxes guarding the hen house, and therefore we can't ascribe a terrible motive necessarily to whoever creates this report, because they simply may be reporting, as required by law in this bill that was passed in December, what they have been spoon-fed. Because the big mistake everyone makes is they think, wow, you're the Director of National Intelligence, you're the President, you're the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency or the CIA. There's this assumption that you have an all-access pass. That is absolutely not true, and I can prove in a court of law that it's not true. So for that reason, we have to be careful in how we evaluate this, and I think that now this is different from people like Luis Elizondo, who has now admitted to the Disclosure Project lawyer Daniel Sheehan that he was not telling the public the truth, that there was a threat from the aliens or the UFOs. Now, if he were to say there's a threat to the national security from the unacknowledged special access projects that have these very advanced technologies, that would be true. That's not what he's saying. So he needs to correct his statement, or we will continue to expose this lie. That's the same thing for Leslie Kean, same thing for Jeremy Corbell, same thing for Nick Pope, same thing for Chris Mellon. So they either need to get off the stage and not make false statements, know what they're talking about, and certainly they need to stop repeating these lies to the American public and to the Congress, because this is a very dangerous path that they're on. Whether they're on it wittingly or unwittingly, I can't say what their motives are, but we now know for a fact that Luis Elizondo knows better than to say that A, we don't know what these are, B, that we don't have anything that can move the way these are moving, and C, that he doesn't know if they're extraterrestrial or not. Since we now know, he has admitted that he has been in a facility with an actual extraterrestrial craft that was retrieved. Now, these sort of omissions of the truth and half-truths are very, very dangerous, because people think because of his credentials, and the same is true of Chris Mellon, as someone who is an official who's been in the Pentagon and the Department of Defense people take them to know what they're talking about. So if they don't know what they're talking about, they need to learn what the subject is really about, and until then, be quiet. If they are going to continue to tell lies knowingly, the way that both Chris Mellon and Luis Elizondo have done, and we can expect more people in their wake to come out telling these sort of lies, we need to call them out on it, and we need to do it very clearly, because there's too much at stake. People are actually believing what they're saying. They think that they're doing this sincerely, and we now know for a fact that it is a big deception. And it is a dangerous deception, because in the process of this deceptive misinformation, disinformation campaign, it is opening the door to this alien threat narrative, but also hiding the fact that the technologies that have been reverse engineered from studying extraterrestrial vehicles that have been operational since the 50s could then be used in a false flag operation in the future, and everyone is going to be convinced, oh, well, we've had these officials tell us we don't have anything like this. This is why they're feeding these talking points to people like Senator Marco Rubio and others who do not know what the truth is about this, but the talking points have within them this very central lie. It is very important that you understand that the reason they keep saying we don't have anything that can move like that Tic Tac or move like those pyramid or triangular object over the destroyer, the reason they're saying that, even though it's an absolute provable lie, is because it preserves the element of surprise. It preserves the element of surprise of a false flag operation where those same technologies that are man-made and controlled by covert programs can be used in some kind of scary scenario. You can imagine what those might be, and make it look like it's the aliens did it, blame it on the aliens. So this has been going on already, as I said, for over 60 years, since the 50s. Now, will they step up that game? That's up to us. I think if we can expose this central lie, we can prevent this disaster. But that's not going to be done by CNN and CBS News and 60 Minutes. It's going to be done by us. And you guys, all of us together, have to join hands and expose what the truth is, expose what the lies are, and then through the CE5 initiative, continue to make peaceful contact with these civilizations. Because ultimately, if enough people do that and have that knowledge and experience, then the media and the intelligence community will simply not be able to convince the public. But that's why it's so important that we step up that initiative. CE5 contact is so important to resolving this problem in a positive way. In the meanwhile, we're putting out this particular forest fire of disinformation that's been set by the likes of Luis Elizondo and Liz Keene and others. Now, one of the problems is we don't have the control over the mainstream media, as you've seen and unacknowledged. Daniel Sheehan testified that he saw a document during Watergate, the Pentagon Papers, when he was representing the New York Times. Way back then, you were talking almost 50 years ago now, that there were 42 people on the payroll of the CIA who were senior editors, national security editors, and the like on the world's media. Now, we know that Richard Doty, who was a master of disinformation himself, admitted that he carried, quote, bags of cash to the media. We have many people who have been covertly and privately admitted that they've been involved in those sort of media corruption schemes. So we cannot count on the fourth estate, the free press, to expose the truth, because frankly, they are not free. And they are fed this information through clandestine contacts in their editorial boards and their national security desk. And that is how the system is gamed. So that means we have to go alternative. We have to go through the internet. We have to go through influencers. We have to do it through grassroots. And that's why this documentary coming out, The Cosmic Hoax, which I hope will be out within the next month, about the next 30 days or less. That whole documentary needs to be seen by 1 to 2 billion people over the summer. I think it's the only way we're going to get the alternative, actual, true disclosure out, as opposed to the false disclosure, which of course we warned about for now almost 25 years. Now, the way we can do that is all of us figuring out, who do we know? Who do we know who knows someone who knows someone that may be an influencer, may have a large platform, who we can share the film with and say, here, download this and put this on your YouTube channel or some blockchain site or whatever it is, because we're going to distribute it through the people, and you guys are the people. So again, I'd like to thank you guys for doing that. Begin to think of how you're going to do this with us and how we can work together. If you are a contact to a major influencer that has millions of followers who can post this for us, please do. I've recently heard from an artist named Chris Brown who wants to help us get this information out. Of course, Demi Lovato is, Chris Daltrey, William Shatner is also wanting to help us get this information out. He's the Captain Kirk, if you remember from Star Trek. So we're creating a network to do this in a viral, grassroots way. But we also can rely on people just doing it person to person to person. And everyone has a list of a few hundred people they may have on their social media pages. Some may have thousands, some may have millions. It doesn't matter, because if millions of people share it with a few hundred people, we've reached hundreds of millions of people. So everyone needs to see that this is kind of how you can join in this effort. The main purpose of this kind of urgent call was to clarify what Daniel Sheehan is doing, why he's doing it, and what the aspiration is. The aspiration is Luis Elizondo will defect from the path of disinformation and distortion and actually begin to speak the truth. And if he doesn't, I've been assured by Daniel Sheehan that he would drop him as a client. So this is what we will be watching for, and we don't know how this is going to turn out. This is really up to what Mr. Elizondo wants to do, but we are going to be watching, and we're going to ask all of you to be watching with us. So thank you very much, and stay tuned. And if you want to help us, go to ce5film.com, and you can contribute some to that so we can create a huge campaign to get this documentary out in a month or so. Again, thanks for your help. Bye-bye.